At 80, you can see an end will be coming, but I would like to think that my ethics may continue. We have a constitution where the partners gave up their ownership. It's owned by a charity. We only do certain types of work, and that has created a certain team spirit. So I'm proud of all those things. I'm proud about the fact that I have been able to live at a time when I've been able to make use of my abilities. I often say, I enjoyed myself much more in the last third of my life than I have in my first third. And my first third was hell as an Italian arriving in 1939 in England. That was a bad move to start with. Everybody said I was stupid, and then I found out that actually I had learning difficulties. So those sort of gave me a lot of problems for the first 30 years, but the last 30 years have been fantastic. The Pompidou, it was actually called Beaubourg when we did the competition, and Pompidou, when Pompidou died a year before completion, was a competition for a museum, a library, a music centre, a design centre. I'm going to say in the centre of Paris, but in a very run-down area. When we did our first studies, it showed that there was no public space nearby. So we created this big piazza. Piazza is really critical to the workings of the Pompidou. So the whole thing became very much dynamic. People come to see people as well as to see art. We said we will make massive floors the size of 2 football pitches with no vertical interruptions. And we didn't say where the museum should go, where the library should go, structure on the outside, mechanical service on the outside, and theoretically you can do anything you want on those floors. I hate going up in sort of internal lifts with people's heads in my stomach or vice versa. I mean, why not give them a view? Movement should be celebrated. I remember once standing outside on a rainy day, and there's this small woman with an umbrella, and she said, "Do you want to have shelter?" I said, "Yes, thank you." And we started talking as one does in the rain, and she said, "What do you think of this building?" Well, the Pompidou. And stupidly, which I would never normally do, I said, "I designed it," and she hit me on the head with an umbrella. It was just, that was sort of typical of the general reaction of the people, especially during the design and construction stage, destroying their beautiful Paris. Renzo and I, we've been very close friends. We met about 2 years before we did Pompidou, and now we speak at least once a week and we go sailing together. So we're very, very close. It's quite difficult to divide us. If you look at our earlier work, we did the house in Wimbledon for my parents, which is a single-story house, and it's steel and it's transparent. You can see a link from that to the Pompidou. The difference of about 1,000 times the scale. And we wanted to make a building which clearly it was of our period, caught the Zeitgeist of the now. And the success of it was that the French took it over and was the most visited building, certainly in Europe. There was a competition for Lloyd's of London, and to everybody's surprise, we won it. Now, it is truly different. Everything is different. I mean, if we were building more or less a fun palace in Paris, this is a club. Some people still were writing with feathers and ink, it was that, it really was. It was backward only in the process. Of course, it was the most famous insurance firm in the world. We were able to convince Lloyd's that we would put the mechanical services on the outside because mechanical services have a short life. Things which have a short life we'll put on the outside. Keep the floors clear, because Lloyd's said they wanted 2 things. They wanted a building that would last into the next century. We made that one. And they wanted a building which would meet their changing needs. We were able to create a 5th elevation, a roof, and bring these big service towers up so that on the skyline you saw all these elements. I have no great love for high-tech, but it did explain something. We do believe in the process of construction. Lloyd's was built in concrete with a certain amount of steel on the outside, and Pompidou was built in steel. I know we've just finished an airport in Madrid, which the way the interiors is wood. I suppose one would like to think one uses the appropriate materials, but of course appropriate materials are also shaped by the time you live in. where you live. It's shaped by the machinery you yourselves are using here. Then people say, well, it's technology, and therefore it's a high-tech building. It's a bit too easy, but it's okay. When Lloyd's opened, once more we were attacked by everybody. We had a very tough last year, and I sat next to the Dean of St. Paul's, and I remember him very well. He said, do you feel beleaguered? A word is, I now remember well. I said, yes, I'm being attacked on all sides, oppressive, and so on. And he told me this little story about Wren, which I think we should all remember. He said, Wren was in his 70s when he at last got St. Paul's built. He'd started 30 years beforehand. He was so tired of having his building attacked and turned down that by the time he got to building St. Paul's, he put a 20-foot wattle fence all around the site so nobody could see it. So even St. Paul's was a shock of the new. We think it's there forever, ever since Prince Charles thinks it's been there forever, but it hasn't. And it was a risky building to do in those times, which is why it is great.